Earth to Rick the Dawn. We need you.
Yo, what's going on? It's your main man, Rick the Dawn, and we got a lot to talk about. We're going to be talking about Utah's new rule about pride flags in government buildings and schools. It's all banned at this point. We'll be talking about Simon Guobadia and Porsha Williams' divorce and who got what and how messy it's become. And there's new information out there which suggests, this is alleged, that Kim Porter also was involved in the freak offs. That's crazy. We're going to talk about that. We also are going to talk about the Houston Rockets acquiring Kevin Durant and what they gave up and what happens with Houston moving forward. So you're in for a good little show here. Go ahead and take a seat. So check it out. Now, if you don't know, Porsha Williams, who's a part of the Real Housewives of Atlanta cast, she and Simon Guobadia's divorce has finally, it's finally over. And Simon did everything in his power. And if you don't know who Simon Guobadia is, he is basically a tycoon from another country. I want to say Nigeria. And yeah, he did everything in his power to protect his wealth from Porsha. And it turns out that depending on who you ask, he didn't do a good job. It depends on who you ask. So the divorce is final, and it turns out that Porsha is granted $40,000 per month for 15 months. All right. And this all stems from how long their marriage lasted, because I think their marriage was about 15 months in length, about a year, just over a year. That's how long she'll be supported financially. So she gets $40,000 per month for 15 months. And it's also my understanding that she has been awarded their home that's in Atlanta. Okay. And not only that, Simon has to pay all the expenses for this Atlanta home for 36 months. So if you look at what Porsha brings in, I hate to say it that way, but if you look at what Porsha Williams brings in, she brings in $40,000 per month for 15 months, and she gets a home. And on top of that, Simon pays all of the expenses for the home for 36 months. Now, after 36 months has concluded, she can either refinance or leave, right? And if she does choose to refinance, whatever, comes of that in terms of equity for that property, Simon Guobadia is granted 50% of that equity. So it's a lot there, man. And it really boils down to one question. Do you think that Simon, or I should say Porsha, it's a lot of questions I have. Here's the first one. Did Porsha set Simon up? Because there's a lot of talk about that Porsha basically set Simon up in order to capitalize on his finances. You got women and men weighing in on this, and a lot of women are excited because, hey, she won according to them. You got some guys saying, hey, he deserved it. He was after, if you ever seen Porsha Williams, very, very, very good looking woman. All right, I mean, from top to bottom, thick, beautiful, all that. And if you see her, you immediately know why Simon chose to even go that route. So some people are saying, hey, this is what you get. And from what I understand, Simon was married to Fallon Pena, who's also a cast member of Real Housewives of Atlanta. And when their marriage started to go down, it said that Porsha immediately jumped into the DMs of Simon and was praying for him and everything. It's hilarious. So, you hear on the news that Simon Guobadia and Fallon are about to divorce, and he files for divorce. And if you're Simon, you go to your DM, you just kind of feeling kind of bad, and you see this beautiful woman, Porsha Williams, in your DMs praying for you. I mean, that's how it all went down. That's how it all happened. And, time had passed, and now, all of a sudden, Simon and Porsha are engaged. In terms of how long it took for them to actually get engaged, I've read that it only took 30 days for Simon to get engaged with Porsha Williams. So a lot of people are basically saying, hey, she had him checkered out from day one. Like, basically, she had set him up from day one. That's what Simon is saying. That's what a lot of people are saying. I'm not sure if it's true or not. I can't tell you if that's true or not. I'm just telling you what I've heard. Now, if you want to know about their age difference, Simon is 61 years old and Porsha is 44. So, I mean, my thing is this. He knew what he was doing. Like, when he got with Porsha, he knew what he was signing up for. At least he should have, right? This is a business tycoon who's worth a lot of money. I mean, I'm assuming that a lot of his gain and financial gain comes from being able to read the room and see what's coming his way and, trajectory and stuff like that. So you can't tell me he didn't know that this woman was only after the money. It's funny because This is Simon's second marriage. As you know, he was again married to Fallon, but this is also Porsha Williams' second marriage. And guess who she was married to at first? All right, you'll never guess. So let me not waste too much time. But she was married to Cordell Stewart. I'll be my lip. The legend, the Pittsburgh legend himself, the quarterback. And I just remember growing up watching Cordell Stewart just go crazy on the field. He was a great football player, great football player. And she was married to him. And then their marriage dissolved after 2 years. All right. It's something about this 2 year mark when it comes to Porsha Williams and Simon Guobadia. So the marriage is only 2 years between Porsha and Cordell. And guess what she got from that marriage? She got, what was it, $5,000 a month from Cordell Stewart. I thought that was a little bit of a low ball for a NFL player to only get $5,000 a month. I thought that was a low ball. But I can definitely say for certain that when you look at what she got from Cordell Stewart and what she got or what she's getting from Simon, then you can clearly see a big jump from 5,000 to 40,000. The biggest issues that I see here for Porsha is that while this is a immediate, increase, there's some problems here, right? Because if you're a real housewife of Atlanta, then clearly you're putting out there, your aura is that you make millions, right? So 40,000 a month for 15 months accumulates or totals about $560,000 to $600,000, and that's before taxes. So you have to think that won't last someone like her that long. I mean, if you look at her IG, you immediately see that Porsha spends a lot of money. You can just tell on maintenance, body maintenance, booty, butt, body, face, hair. Probably drives a nice car. Now she does have a nice house that's going to be paid for, but only for 36 months. That's 3 years. That's going to go by real quick, right? And you just have to see the writing on the wall. Like, seriously, you know what's going to happen, right? This girl is clearly a tactician. She plays the game. She was already scouting the rich guys. Okay, like, hey, it's kind of like I heard this one guy. It was hilarious. He said, you know how I find women? He said he goes to Facebook and he looks up wedding dresses for sale. And that's his way of finding a woman that just got out of a marriage. Got out of a marriage. Like, if a woman is selling her wedding dress, clearly she's out of the marriage. And that's how he finds his women. It's hilarious. There's another guy who looks at the sex offenders list for his women. All right, so he looks for women who are just coming out of jail and are on the offenders list. I don't know why he would do that. I'm assuming it's because of the sex drive, presumably. But nevertheless, this is what people do. People literally go on the internet and they search for people that they want. And you can't tell me that this whole prayer and the DM thing wasn't a flex, man. It just seemed like a flex in my opinion. But yeah, so if you are Porsha Williams' next target, you have to know, like, yo, this is a rental. And the last thing you should do is marry her, right? And I'm not even trying to throw shade at Porsha because, number one, she is absolutely stunning, seriously. And number two, I would like to think that she had genuine love for Simon. I like to think that. And I don't feel bad for Simon, and it's because he is, 61 years old? And you can't tell me as a man, if you see a woman that is like, 17, 16 years, your junior in your DM, come on, bro, you know what that is. And you see what she looks like. I don't know if you ever seen Porsha Williams. You must have. And you see what she looks like. You're like, yo, she's praying for me. She's obviously giving me the green light or the yellow light. I can figure it out from here. So he knew what he was doing. I don't feel bad for a grown man that's trying to scratch an itch, if you get what I'm saying. And then it was interesting because with Fallon, they asked her, like, hey, do you think that Porsha was the reason your marriage dissolved? And, credit to Fallon. She said no. She said, look, he's a grown man. I'm a grown woman. And, our marriage went bad because of us. The whole Porsha thing came afterwards. So, yeah. And you got to think about it. As soon as Simon files for divorce, that's when Porsha is in his DM. So there goes the whole reconciliation. Like, if you don't know, a lot of states will not grant a divorce immediately because that gives the couple some time to reconcile. Like, there are states that won't allow a divorce to go official or be official or officially, ruled over for a year, because a lot of marriages do reconcile. Like, a lot of people go through these issues. There's a thing called the 7-year itch. After 7 years, a lot of marriages kind of just have issues. It happens. And people genuinely think that they don't ever want to be with that person again. Then 5 months later, some of those issues have healed, and it's like, you know what, maybe I don't want to, because you got to think about it. Divorce is terrible, man. It destroys everything. I don't know if you ever seen someone go through divorce, but it's like, it's a real bad situation. It's like you're losing your best friend. It's very hurtful because you get to see their whole life kind of move on without you. It's tough. It's tough. So, after 5 months or so, a lot of those painful thoughts and memories and things you've gone through are kind of like dissolved, and mainly because you're not right next to that person or on top of that person. Like when you're filing for divorce, a lot of times both people go the opposite way, and you know what they say, man, absence makes the heart grow fonder. And I really believe in that. I think sometimes when people who are divorcing or getting into breakups, I think it's really just y'all not giving each other enough space to be yourselves individually, and some space away from that person will probably fix a lot of the problems. And that's just what I think it is, man. But 30 days to be engaged with Porsha is crazy. Yeah. So what really caused Porsha to start to kind of move in a different direction from Simon was some immigration problems that Simon was having. So he was arrested, if I'm not mistaken, detained or something to that effect. And it turns out he has some issues with regards to his immigration status and credit card and bank fraud. Okay. So those were some of the issues that caused Porsha to kind of push back, or at least that's what it's being reported as. In my opinion, I don't know. Maybe she was looking for an excuse. Maybe it was legit. I can't tell you one way or the other. But I wish them both success as they move forward. But it's crazy because like I said, if I'm the next guy on Porsha's list, look, I'm going to tell you right now. And she has a child, or I'm not sure how many children she has. I know for a fact I saw her in one post with one child. It's like this. Based on her track record, and we only going off your credit report. Like, you can't get mad when somebody looks at your past, right? You can't look. I know people who really get upset when you bring up their past. Like, hey, you bringing up the past? Like, of course I am. I mean, that's how you find out what could possibly happen moving forward. Like, I can't get mad at somebody from looking at my past and saying, yo, Rick, you're liable to do this or that based on you doing this or that. So if I am, the next person that's pursuing Porsha, I'm making sure that my prenup is ironclad solid. And look, there's no amount too little. Like, you see what happened with Cordell Stewart. He has to pay her $5,000. So you would think that might be a below a Porsha Williams, but shoot, not really. It's like, yo, she like, if I am going to be in a relationship with you and I'm going to get something if things dissolve. So, first off, good job on her part. Good job on her part. That's how you're supposed to be. But goodness gracious, clearly she's a man eater. I mean, clearly. And if I am the next person on Simon's radar, I got to look at this guy as a pot of gold. I mean, he's 61 years old. He's still trying to date women in their 40s. I mean, look, you know what it is. Like, it's a rental. But I'm pretty sure, if I had to guess, this is the last time that Simon's going to get caught up like this. All right. I'm just saying. Okay. You get bit like that once. You pretty much figured it out. All right. But let's go ahead and transition to Utah. All right. Now, Utah becomes the first state to ban the pride flag in government buildings and schools. I want to first start off with saying that I am extremely pro as it relates to this decision. Okay. And I want to be very clear that I have nothing against a person that is homosexual, male or female, don't care. But I do find it strange that they're flying their flags so openly. And I have a lot of issue with it. The first issue is that their flag seems to be a rainbow of some sort. And if you know, then you know. Like the rainbow, the origin of what the rainbow represents is God's promise to humans that he would never flood the earth again. So in theory, and not even in theory, in reality, the rainbow is a Christian tenet that was stolen from us by, LGBTQ members and used for their own selfish reasons. Like, you don't take something from Christians that represents something as important as God's promise to us and then try to use it for something sexual. I think it's the most disgusting thing ever. So in my personal opinion, I am extremely happy that Utah is the first to do this. Now, let's clear up another issue, okay? I sound as if I am what they might call a homophobe. And let me be very clear. I don't even believe that there's a such thing, or even I don't think homosexuality is a thing. I think it's just something that was created by man. I don't think that a man can be born with, you know, this urge to be with the same sex and vice versa. I think it is learned behavior. And this is why I created a website called lovacaine.com, where I allow gay men and gay women to date each other. Because I don't think that is you're born that way. I think it's just something that happened. I think it's nurtured. And how strange is it? This is the thing that's most important to me. How strange is it for the homosexual community to basically ram this flag and their belief systems down your throat? Now, here's the problem I have with it, because they lead with it. Why is it that LGBTQ plus members lead with their sexuality? One day I just hope to speak with somebody that might be a part of that community, but I can't tell. You know what I'm saying? Like, one day I would like to speak to somebody that's a part of that community, but just have a normal conversation with them and not immediately be inundated with their sexual belief systems. It'd be strange if when I first meet you, I say, "Hey, how you doing? My name's Rick the Don. I'm straight. I sleep with women." Wouldn't that be weird? And that's what I'm always bombarded with when I come in conversation with members of the LGBTQ barbecue. Look, this is what happens. It's like, I understand that you sleep with the same sex, but that's not my business. You know what I'm saying? And I think when you put this flag on buildings and you put this flag in schools, it's like you're literally broadcasting your sexual preference to children. Like, you literally are doing that, because when a child looks at that flag and they're in school, their brain is immediately, if they know enough information, their brain immediately goes to two people having sex with the same sex. That's insane when you think about it. But think about it. When you're a child and you see that pride flag, that's the first thing you're thinking. If you know better, you're thinking, wow, that flag symbolizes what? It does. What is it? What does the flag symbolize? It symbolizes that this person sleeps with the same sex. So that whole gang, they're promoting their sexual preference. And that's my biggest issue with the LGBTQ community. That's my biggest issue. It's like, look, it's okay that you live a certain way, but it's not our business. It's not something that I need to know when I first look at you. I don't need to know that. That's your business. That's your sexual preference. Got it. Everybody has one. Everybody likes what they like. They're into what they're into. It's not my business what it is. Unfortunately, this group of people oftentimes is so insecure about their own decision to sleep with the same sex that they have to force it onto other people and have other people accept it for them to feel good about their decision. Because I'm going to tell you right now, I don't need a flag. I don't need people to know. I don't need people that do know to accept that I like to sleep with my wife. That's my business, right? It's nobody's business. And I don't care who likes it, who doesn't like it. I don't need a flag to proclaim it. It's just my decision. And this is my biggest problem with this whole LGBTQ thing. They need people's approval, and they would never phrase it that way, but it just comes across that way because they're constantly bombarding us with these things. And the most offensive thing, outside of taking our promise from God not to flood the earth and then using it as a symbol for your perverted, movement, that's disgusting. Even though that upsets me, the one thing that upsets me just a little bit less than that is that they constantly, when I say they, I mean individuals of this community, they're constantly trying to compare their struggles with the struggles of African Americans in the Jim Crow era and civil rights era. There is no comparison. It's extremely offensive when I hear people make those comparisons, because I think they wanted the right to get married and stuff like that, and they felt like their civil rights were infringed upon. I get all that, but don't dare compare a choice, because it is all a choice. Okay, you have to make a choice to identify as whatever you want to call it. You have to make a choice to sleep with the same sex. These are all choices. Okay, and you have to make a choice to want to get married to the same person. Or the same gender. That's a choice. But what African Americans dealt with in the Jim Crow eras, that wasn't a choice. Okay, when we come to consciousness and we open our eyes and we see who we are, that was not a choice. That was given to us. Like I didn't know I was considered black until one day I woke up and I looked at it like, oh, okay, my skin's brown and that boy, his skin is pale and her skin is yellow. Like you don't No, you don't get to pick this stuff. Like, you know what I'm saying? You don't get to one day say, hey, you know what? I feel like a white man. You know, I'm going to identify as a white man moving forward. And I'm going to create a little flag that says I'm a white man. Like, it wasn't a choice. Those people went through those things because of bigotry and things of that nature. So I just don't think that it's okay to try to compare those two. All right. And there's somebody thinking to themselves or saying to themselves or getting upset with me saying, well, homosexuality is not a choice. You was born that way. I just don't believe that. And you can't force me to believe that. I don't believe that anybody was, because here's how I know that, or why I believe this is the truth. Number one, I don't believe that God makes mistakes. Okay. That's number one. And number two, when you look at children, I'm talking about 1 year old, 2 years old, 3 years old. Oftentimes they are absolutely pure in their understanding of the world and things of that nature. I don't think that there's anything that supports this whole concept that a person is born with a gay gene. In fact, there's been so much research for this thing, and it's just like no one's been able to find it. You want to know why? Because it doesn't exist. There's no such thing as a gay gene, right? So it's all learned. It's learned behavior. Right? You get to about 5, 6, 7 years old and maybe something happens. Maybe you see something you shouldn't see. Maybe you think something that just doesn't go checked. So you see someone of the same sex, you find some attraction there, and that seed is watered and things of that nature. Nobody checks it. Nobody seems to spot it in you. Maybe you don't have both parents looking at you the way that they should be. Because I'm telling you, like every day as a parent, I'm scanning my children for imperfections. I'm scanning them. If I see something that I don't like, if I hear them, I'm always listening to my children's words, because I think words are the beginning of stuff. You know what I'm saying? So you notice your daughter, she talks back to you for the first time. Like that came from somewhere, and I think that's how homosexuality is. I think that's how it starts. It's like I'm pretty sure whoever the parents are of these individuals that are homosexual, the parents at some point saw something. And how they handled that, to me, determines where they are today. All right. This is why, one of my favorite posts, and I wish I could show this to you, but one of my favorite posts is of a young lady who identified as a stud, right? She was a stud, a female who identifies as a man, mostly. And it was amazing to see her accept Jesus Christ as her Lord and Savior. And then she continued to, show her progression from the moment she accepted Christ into what she looks like today. So she went from this hard stud, hair trimmed up, fade, all that. And it shows her accepting Jesus Christ. And then after that, it shows how the Lord reverted her back to a full female. I said, you know what? I love that. And it just kind of, solidify what I believe, which is no one is born that way. They learn that, which means that you can unlearn it. Okay. And, I probably should have said this a long time ago, but I have nothing but the utmost love and respect for individuals within the homosexual and LGBTQ community. I have the utmost love and respect for them, but I do not love and respect their belief system. Or their choice to continue down this way, right? I love them. I wish I can pull them here, give them the biggest hug ever, and just say, hey, you know what? There's someone which is the opposite sex of you who would absolutely adore you. And it's unfortunate that you don't understand that. You don't believe that. And that is why I created lovethekane.com. It's like, hey, okay, I'm not going to try to change you, sir, ma'am. If you are a man and you identify as a woman, that's okay. Ma'am, if you are a woman, born a woman, and you identify as a man, I'm not going to try to change that. But I'm telling you, if you are someone who identifies as a man, you must like women. And this guy, who was born a guy, says he is a woman. So date each other. That's what I tried to do. But so Utah has taken the first step in that direction. The Republican governor announced that he was allowing a ban on sanctioned flag displays, and it appears to me that the Utah governor is trying to save face. He's basically saying, hey, I'm not going to push back on this because I feel like it's a losing battle, and I don't want to waste resources on trying to appeal this ruling. And he even wrote, I believe his last name is Cox, all right, COX. He even wrote or posted some kind of message to the community, the LGBTQ community, in which he tries to kind of, like I said, save face. Anyway, but starting on May 7th, state or local government buildings will be fined $500 a day for flying any flag other than non-government approved flags. This includes the MAGA flag. All right, so the MAGA flag is also banned according to the statute, and I love it. Now, Idaho has also banned the non-governmental flag displays, but only at schools. And I think right now they're pushing to have this be extended to government buildings. And this is interesting because, June is this whole Pride Month thing, right? So you got to imagine that in Utah, it's a lot going on because Utah is very liberal. So yeah, I'm pretty sure there's some conflict there. But I just want to make sure I clear that up, man. I really love all people, but it's what they do that kind of creates the issue for me, right? Yeah, I love all people, but just like some people make choices that are, dare I say, damaging, and I can't go too much further with them. If everyone decided to marry and sleep with their own gender, that would cease what? That would cease the development of children, human beings, in the future, right? So in essence, sleeping with the same sex or that lifestyle, it is damaging to humanity. So why would I support that in any context? If everybody said, hey, from moving forward, I am going to date, love, be in relationship with the gender I was born as. So I'm going to be with a man, you're going to be with the same gender. If everybody did that worldwide, the world would no longer produce children. And as such, the world would end in about 100 years or so. So why on planet Earth would I ever support something that's demonic? Who would want mankind to end? Think about it. The devil, right? He hates God. He hates the image of God. And human beings, we are basically God's love child. Like he made us and he created us. And, obviously if you hate God, but you can't do nothing to God because Satan is so weak. God didn't even kick Satan out of heaven. God told Michael to do it. That's how, like, Satan is just not on God's level. So if you can't hurt God, what do? You go to his something that he loves. He loves us. So, or he loves the world. So Satan tries to destroy stuff that God loves, right? And I think that is what's going on with people. I think people oftentimes just have not been given the information they need to battle with certain feelings and thoughts. Like, yes, I'm talking about everybody on planet Earth at one point or another has had a thought about homosexuality. I'm pretty sure. It is not uncommon that, you have to, you first find out this is even a possibility. And then you ask yourself, would that be something I would enjoy or be a part of? And the answer for like a lot of people is no, like, no. Okay. And they go on about their life. I mean, this happens with everything. Like the first time I hear about crack, like I'm watching it, like, is that something? No, I don't want that. First time I heard about pecans, like, do I want to taste that? Let me smell. No, I don't like. So it's like, when some people were introduced to this whole concept of homosexuality, I just don't think they had the right things in place to reject it. And I think that's why we have what we have today. I just think that some people just didn't have the right support systems or even the knowledge base to reject that proposal. That's just my personal opinion. All right. But, anytime somebody's belief system in some way indirectly hurts children, I'm just not with it. I'm sorry. You have to just be upset with me. Go ahead and hit the dislike button. But you got to remember, children are innocent. So they don't know anything about sex and all this other stuff. And when you start blasting this flag in front of them and, you got books being written towards little kids about, hey, do you feel like you're a unicorn or do you feel like that you're different? Like, I don't like that. That's like, to me, that's like manipulation. That's disgusting to me. So, it is what it is. I'm not here to be liked. I'm here to just speak my truth and shut up when I'm done. But moving on to Diddy. So it is being alleged, and I want to be very clear about it. There's no evidence to support this. And, that's what I want to start with. But it's being alleged that Diddy made Kim Porter engage in freak-offs too. All right, that's what's being projected. And, I heard that and I said, man, this is really bad. And I'm going to tell you why I said that. I said that because I personally think I have a better understanding of what's going on with Diddy than the average consumer of media. All right. Here's what I think is going on with Diddy. I think Diddy sold his soul a long time ago. Right. And he got kind of mixed up into the industry and all the satanic stuff that goes on in the industry. And I think also being so high up has given Diddy some exposure to a lot of things. Okay, that being gangster activity. I think that he's a part of the mafias, gangsters, Satan. Like he's involved in a lot. That's what I'm saying. Like he has the means to have a lot of things happen, right? And I think that over the years, having won so much from the protection of these evil entities, he got to a point where he got a little sloppy, right? And unfortunately, when you join forces with these evil entities, yes, there are some great things that come with it, like money and access and women and cars, all those things that fulfill the flesh in all of us, right? We all have it. And I think, unfortunately, there's a small print side to that contract that you sign when you jump on board with that kind of stuff. And that contract and that fine print says, we own you. And if at any point you decide to grow some, kahunas and you want to push back against what we need you to do, then we got your card and we'll make some things happen to get you out the way. And I think that's all that's happening. I don't think that what Diddy did is any different from what he was doing years ago. All right. I don't think so whatsoever. I just think that now that we're all being exposed to these things he's done, he must have fallen out of grace with somebody on the evil side of things. That's just my personal opinion. He's made somebody upset on that side. I think the same is true about R. Kelly. I think the same is true about Bill Cosby and everybody in between, because that's just that's what I think. It's alleged. It's an opinion. And this whole Kim Porter information, all this kind of stuff, I just think it's just dumping the news on top of the ashes at this point. It's like, look, what else can we find that we can use to kind of stack the deck against him? That's kind of what I think this is. So, as easy as it is for me to just jump in and say, oh yeah, I believe that, blah, blah, blah. I'm looking at it from a different perspective. Everybody has different viewpoints. Some people have insider information, some people don't. For me, I think that's what it is. I think this is more or less Diddy having falling out of favor with someone with a lot of power on the evil side of things. All right, media, music industry, that side of things. And we're talking about somebody way above him. We think that Diddy's the top. If you're on the inside and you know who's really running and pulling the strings, then you know that Diddy is nowhere near the top, right? It's a pyramid. Like if you know anything about this whole Masonic thing, it's a pyramid, right? And at the very top of the pyramid is the all-seeing eye. That's supposed to be Satan, right? But think about it. It's a pyramid, which means that there's layers to this. There's levels to this. And we, as the Black Americans, we see Diddy as this towering figure. But all it takes is to be white, right? Or someone who has power and also be Jewish or Caucasian. You looking at Diddy like, wait, buddy, you way down there. It's a pyramid at the wall. So you got to think about it. A lot of Black elites are at the bottom of the pyramid. They just, but to us, they're the top of the, because we can't, But the point is, Diddy is somewhere near the middle to the bottom of that pyramid, right? So it's a lot of layers that supersede his quote unquote power. And we see that with people like Kanye West. You think Kanye West is just this blossoming billionaire and all this other stuff, and it takes one fell swoop, one little button press, and his assets, his net worth drops, right? So I think that's what it is. I think that someone's flexing some power and that has some control of the media and what they present and what they broadcast. Somebody has that kind of power is basically done with Diddy. And I think a lot of celebrities, especially African-American celebrities, they have some kind of tape of them doing something deplorable on file. And if you start tripping, that tape becomes public information. I think with R. Kelly, it was the tape of him doing what he was doing. We already know. We don't need to talk about it. When it came to Diddy, it was probably that Cassie Ventura hotel tape. So it's like, why did this tape take so long to come out? I think it's because it's like blackmail. Like, hey, we're gonna hold this in case you start tripping. You start tripping, okay, there it is. It's everybody's business now. But yeah, so there is a witness who testified that she used to set up hotel rooms for both Kim and Cassie, right? And basically laid out all the information about how it went down. Like, yo, the same thing I was doing for Cassie, I was doing for Kim in terms of a hotel room. And there's a lot of people coming out all of a sudden. It's like, why are y'all coming out now, right? And when it comes to media, fame is the new drug, man. Like, it's the new drug. It has people, just doing any and everything. And to me, it's not about being famous. It's about what are you famous for. So now you got a guy named the Punisher. He's famous. Yes, we can't argue that because now I'm saying his name, the Punisher. Okay, but what are you famous for? You're famous for Diddy freak offs. Like, is that really what you had on your bingo card? Like, is that really what you want to go down in the history books as being? There was a point where when it came to like Black Americans, especially, the more famous they became, the more honorable it was. Like Muhammad Ali, famous for standing up against, blah, 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 and being a champion. And then you had people like Rosa Parks, famous for standing up against oppression and disrespect. Then you had, the Malcolm X's, famous for fighting for Black people's rights and being militant. But now, like, it's like people are famous for literally being or participating in, freak offs. Like, that's it. So it's like, you gotta be careful. It's not about being famous. It's about what are you famous for? Like for myself, I'm always trying to find the fine line of, okay, as people start to learn who you are, do you want them to say, okay, that's Rick the Don. He's famous for reporting on Hollywood news. Hell no, I don't want that to be my story. So it's like, I don't do these that much because it's like, I don't want that to be what people notice me for. It's like, hey, I create clothes. I created my own shoe. Like I'd rather be famous for that kind of stuff than famous for bull crap. That's going to be, old news in 24 hours. I'm good on that. So that's what happened though. You got people coming out of the woodwork saying, oh, I was dating Diddy too. And he was trying to get me involved in freak offs and stuff like that. But anyway, if you don't know, Cassie Ventura, she accused Diddy of abuse, sex trafficking, and coercion during their decade-long relationship. And, it kind of goes back to it. Their relationship was a decade. All right. 10 years of being with somebody. How do you file anything against somebody that you've been with for 10 years? It's like, how? Are you saying that what they did was criminal? Because if so, you had 10 years to dial 3 numbers. 911. It takes 2 seconds to do that. 2 seconds to do that. You had 10 years to do it. And if you didn't do it in those 10 years, why now? If I'm a judge, I'm saying, why now? What's the difference between now and year 1, year 2, year 3, year 4, year 5, year 6, year 7, year 8, year 9, year 10? Why did it take this long for you to dial 911? Oh, you didn't call 911. So it's not a criminal thing. This is a civil, oh, you want some money. Immediately I would have threw the whole case out. All right, I would have threw the case out. But whoever Diddy's having issues with, this is alleged because I don't know, but if he is having issues with somebody that's higher up, all those things don't matter. It doesn't matter that common sense doesn't make sense in this regard. It's like, hey, we got to get him. We got to make him pay. He's a billionaire. Let's make him $1,000. It's like that. But anyway, Kim Porter died in November 2018 at the age of 47, and her official cause of death was how you say this word here? Lobar pneumonia. All right, lobar pneumonia is a type of pneumonia where a large continuous area of one or more lung lobes is infected and inflamed, typically by bacteria. There's a lot of people trying to come out and say that, her death reeked of foul play, that it was more involved and there was more going on than what met the eye. And it's just all unfortunate in my opinion. And now they're trying to say, now that Kim has pretty much been gone for some time, that she was also, like, she was basically the first Cassie, if you will. And if this is true, which I'm not here to speculate on whether it is or not, but if it is, I can say that as Cassie, I can kind of see where she's going with this. Like, wait a minute, I'm basically the next Kim, right? And if you're looking at Kim and you see her pass away in 2018, and you know more than the average person knows, let's say for S and giggles that Cassie knows more than we do, and she actually does know that Diddy did something to hurt this young lady, then you're looking at it like, hey, if I don't speak up now, like, he's going to move on and, she'll be the next Kim. I mean, maybe that's where she was coming from. I'm trying to look at this thing as even as I can, but I'm not sure that makes a lot of sense, right? I'm not sure. But here to only speculate, not to cast judgment. Definitely happy for Cassie for where she's going now. She's married. I think she just had a baby or something like that. So let's hope that everything pans out. And if I may, I don't even know if Diddy is guilty of any. Like, I'm struggling to figure out what he's guilty of. Yeah, he's a nasty mofo. Yeah, he's very disgusting. But aren't we all? You know what I'm saying? So it's like it's sex. Everybody has this thing. When it comes to sex, it's just my personal opinion anyway. We all have these deep sexual things that we want to gratify. At least I don't know anybody who doesn't have that. And his just happens to be on public display because of who he is. And the question is, what crime is that? What crime? Yes, I do believe hitting a woman is deplorable and kicking her and all that stuff is disgusting. Like I say, he definitely is not on my good list. But jail is a little different. It's different. And I'm hearing that, a lot of stuff that the prosecution was trying to push onto Diddy has been thrown out. So I think at this point, as of right now, he's looking at about 7 years. But again, I'm still struggling to figure out what for. And then I think it was Suge Knight who pointed out that Diddy is playing chess here. Like, okay, even if he does go to jail, he'll probably get a pardon by Donald Trump, which doesn't seem to be out of the ordinary because Trump has, to this point, commuted the sentence of Larry Hoover. He's let Harry O out of jail. I always bring that up. He's let Lil Wayne out of jail. He's let Kodak Black out of jail. I think he even commuted the sentence of NBA YoungBoy. So look, it wouldn't surprise me if he let out both Suge and Puffy. It wouldn't surprise me. Anyway, let's go ahead and end this bad boy with Kevin Durant, who goes to the Houston Rockets. Huge trade right there, and let's talk about what they gave up. So Houston gave up Jalen Green, Dillon Brooks, the number 10 pick of the first round, and 5 second-round picks. Do you think that was worth it? Now, I'm reading online, and a lot of sports outlets are saying that Houston won this trade. They won because they didn't have to give up a lot of active players, so they were able to keep most of their starting lineup intact. They only had to give up what's his name again? They only had to give up Dillon Brooks and Jalen Green. But here's where I'm a little indifferent. Number one, KD is 36 years old, so by the time next year's playoffs hit, he'll be 37 years old. So we're talking about a 37-year-old KD that's just 3 years away from 40. All right, that's 37. One would like to think that at that point you should be retiring or at least thinking about it. So you're mortgaging so much for a aging star. And what I mean by mortgaging so much, okay, fine. I get Dillon Brooks. All right, I get that. But let's be real. Dillon Brooks is like one of those heart players. Like, he kind of galvanizes your team. He's like the Draymond Green of his team. He's that person that everybody hates except for the team that he's playing on and those fans. So I just think he's a defensive player. One, he's very antagonizing. He's like a Pat Bev kind of player. I think he's worth something. But to give him up, so be it. I understand that. I get that for KD. Fine. Jalen Green got a lot of bad, juju because of how he played in last year's playoffs. And you know what? I think a lot of that is warranted. But at the same time, you can't tell me that Jalen Green at some point won't get better than what I saw last playoffs. I just think that, that was like his first playoff experience. And he just got cold feet. He just didn't really know what he didn't know. And I think that for somebody else, he's going to be amazing. I mean, look at Shea Gilgeous-Alexander. He was wasn't he? He was on the Houston Rockets, was he not? Before he was traded to OKC, where he's won a championship. So, like, you just can't judge everyone off of one sample. One sample is just not enough. And I do think that Jalen Green's going to get better. But here's where my biggest problem lies with this trade. They gave away their 10th pick, which I'm okay with. I think that's okay. But 5 second-round picks is egregious. Look, some of the best players that we have right now, they didn't come in the first round. They came in like the second round, or they weren't highly touted as superstars. And I'm always cautious about second and third round picks. I mean, think about it. Even though this is a different sport, Shedeur Sanders, he goes late, but he's going to be pretty good. And if you want more or a more credible person, how about Tom Brady? All right, we already know his story. Nobody saw him as being the greatest of all time as I see it. But there he is, right? So I always say, like, you can find gems in the second round. You know what I mean? Like, I really believe that. And to give away 5 of them is egregious to me. I think that if you were to give away Jalen Green and Dillon Brooks in the 10th pick, that should have been good. Or if you wanted to give away 5 second round picks Okay, I'll give you five second round picks in Jalen Green. Okay, that's it, and maybe Dylan Brooks. But I'm keeping my 10th pick. I mean, I just think that gave away too much. That's just my personal opinion. But shout out to KD, man. You know, KD, what he does is he either really works for your franchise or he really sucks for your franchise. We've seen that all through his career. For OKC, he really worked. All right. For Golden State, he really worked. For Brooklyn, he just really didn't work. To me, for Phoenix, he just really didn't work. And here we are with the Rockets. So I'm a little nervous, in other words. But shout out to KD because even with the last season, he averaged 26 points, 6 rebounds, and 4 assists. Not bad at all for a 36-year-old elite basketball player. Not bad at all. All right. But anyway, and think about it. Last season, in the regular season, the Rockets went, 52-30. And you got to ask yourself, what would a KD add to that? And as far as the Thunder, who are the current NBA champions, Houston and the Thunder played 5 times in the last regular season. And Houston won that. Well, actually, I should say it this way. OKC, they won 3 out of 5 of those meetings, which means that the Rockets won twice against the current champions, which means they were pretty good. Now you add KD to that mix, and maybe they would have enough to capsize or defeat OKC. But here's the biggest problem. When you trade off, or I should say when you bring in a player as big as Kevin Durant, you give up so much. So now when you look at their last record, which was 52-30, does it really hold up? Does it really hold up? Because a part of that 52-30 was Dylan Brooks and Jalen Green. You give up both of them, now what? Now you're kind of like reshuffling the deck. And this logic doesn't make a lot of sense. It's like saying, hey, we have a pretty good hand. So what we're going to do is we're going to reshuffle the deck and we're going to expect a better hand. But here's the thing. When you reshuffle the deck, it's all random all over again. So yes, you got KD now in this new shuffle, but you lose Jalen Green and you lose Dylan Brooks and you lose your future, in my opinion. So I'm not sure it's a good idea. But with the changes, here's the current potential lineup because they could still be, doing some things. But you got Fred VanVleet at point guard. You got Jabari Smith Jr. You got Alperen Sengun. You got KD, of course, and you got Aman Thompson. So I'll tell you what I'm happy about. I'm happy that they still have Fred VanVleet because he's a bucket waiting to happen. I really like Sengun. A lot of people are not aware of him, but he is one of the most technically sound big men I've seen in a while at his age group. Like his age group, yeah. Like at his age, he's really good. All right, he's really good. And to me, the sleeper of all this is KD teaming up with Aman Thompson. Now, if you don't know twin, I like to call them twin. But the Thompson twins are both elite, right? They're really good. And Aman really last playoffs when they were struggling, I should say, when Jalen Green wasn't really doing what he was supposed to do, it was Aman Thompson that was coming in and just balling out. And I know the scouting report had to be extremely bad for the first couple of games as it relates to checking Aman Thompson. It's like, hey, he's going to probably put up maybe 10, 12, 15 points. Man, he was going off to the point where it's like, hey, maybe we should stop focusing on Jalen Green and focus more on Aman Thompson. So to see KD and Aman Thompson team up, that is going to be awesome because basically, in my personal opinion, I think Aman Thompson is as gifted as a KD is. Like, I think that as gifted as KD was when he was like first in the league, maybe his first 3 or 4 6 seasons, I think Aman Thompson has some of that. You know what I mean? I think he's as gifted as a KD offensively. And also, Aman Thompson is also defensively sound. So I just like what he brings to the table. He's a really strong basketball player. So to see him and KD team up should be good. Do I think that they're going to win a championship with this roster? I'm going to say no, because as they get to the playoffs, they're going to have issues with depth, right? Because they've given up so much of their drafting power and they don't really have a lot of bargaining chips left, right? So this is always a problem when you recruit or get someone like KD. Like, think about it. The Brooklyn Nets. Did you hear about them this season? Like, seriously, I don't think I even heard about the Brooklyn Nets. And even with Phoenix, they've become like a team that you just pencil out of the playoffs in the first or second round, really the first. So, I'm not sure that KD has, as of late, ever since leaving Golden State, has catapulted himself in a space where you like, what? A team gets KD, you can pencil them into the finals. And I'm going to just say it right now. I'm going to ask you, what is the worst basketball decision of all time? Go. All right, my turn. It's when KD decided to leave that stacked Golden State team. Okay, that might only fall second to, the Bulls disassembling after their second three-peat. Like, to me, KD's decision to leave Golden State might only be second to the Bulls organization's idea to get rid of Phil Jackson, and start a rebuild after 3 consecutive championships. Like, those two decisions to me are both idiotic. It's like, why not keep winning? Like, let someone dethrone the Bulls before you rebuild. Let someone dethrone, and you can make the argument that Golden State was dethroned by the Raptors. But if you know, then you remember that Steph Curry was hurt. Clay was injured. Durant was injured or something. I think everybody was injured. Like KD, I think that was his ACL, right? And I think Steph was banged up, and I want to say Clay was too. I'm not sure exactly. I forget. I just know it was a lot of injuries. It was at least 2 of the big 3 that were injured. KD was so injured, he wasn't even in the game. So, like, that, to me, I don't think that's why you break up the Golden State situation. Because I was like, look, everybody, let's get healed, and we'll come back and we'll show everybody what really was really supposed to happen. And I think it was Clay that was injured. I think Clay had a bad injury too, if I'm not mistaken. It's been a while, so I don't remember all the details. But I would have never broken that team up, is what I'm saying. And I'm so upset that KD left, and he really, in my opinion, hasn't really found a home like Golden State, in my opinion. Another weird decision for me was Kyrie Irving leaving LeBron. I just think that was a weird decision. It's like, why would you leave? I'm like, Kyrie, why would you leave LeBron? Now, maybe LeBron is just a headache outside of the basketball court. So be it. Another weird decision was Kobe and Shaq breaking up. Like, what, bro? Y'all only need to be cordial on the court. After the game, like, disperse. Get away from each other. Even in practice, just don't talk to each other. Why would y'all break that up? Weird to me, man. Another weird decision was LeBron James leaving Miami. Like, why would you leave that amazing setup and go anywhere? I don't care how irritating Pat Riley is. Man, I'm telling you, I'm not like everybody. Because I'm telling you, if I get in a situation where I'm winning, I'm staying. Period. I'm not leaving a situation where I'm winning. Period, man. But, man. What do you think about that, y'all? I hope that y'all enjoyed that. And I hope that I provided some thought-provoking pieces there. Oh, man. What do you think about any of this stuff? Do you think that Porsha Williams is wrong for the way that she handled that divorce situation with Simon? Do you think that she manipulated Simon? And, Simon is out there talking about he was targeted. Do you think that's true? Do you think he was targeted for his money? Do you agree or disagree with this whole pride flag and Utah ban? I really hope I didn't. It's impossible for me not to have offended anybody, but I do hope that my sentiments rang true, which is I love individuals within the LGBTQ community because they're humans. I love them. I believe that they deserve all the love that they can possibly hold, but I am not in agreement with their lifestyle, and that's okay. I don't have to be in agreement with that. And but what do you stand on that with the whole ban? Do you think it's okay? Do you think it's wrong? Do you think it's imposing some kind of forceful disagreements against their civil rights? Big question right there. Do you think that Diddy is guilty of a crime? Or do you think that he's just being targeted? And last but not least, do you think that Houston Rockets made a good decision with giving away so much to acquire the services of Kevin Durant? Do you think that's a good idea? All right, we'll see. Time will tell. You know how that works. But it's been solid. I appreciate you watching. Throw a like on the video, and I'll see you soon. Oh, yeah, don't forget. I got a podcast, the Rick the Don podcast. Go check it out. I don't know why I always forget to promote my own podcast. It's crazy.